Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, May 12th, I think, or 11th, 12th, May 12th. And it's 8 o'clock, 8 p.m., almost on the dot. We're getting better about starting on time, but this is In Touch.
Ish. We're ish.
Yeah,
we're good.
This is In Touch-ish with the Miller Boyzzz-ish. Plus one tonight.
Oh yeah, that's realish.
This is our weekly talk show where we talk about and discuss all things impacting the African American community, the city of Fresno, and the surrounding area. Tonight, though, I think we're going to kind of take a detour. We're not going to be really stuck on local stuff. We're going to be talking about lots of different things today. You want to start local? Yeah. Actually, before dun, 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 census.
Answer your 9 questions. Moving on.
Census. Make sure you get your census done.
9 questions. Moving
Census2020.gov. Go to that website while you're listening to us tonight. Get your census done. It's important that you do that so that we make sure that the Fresno area gets all of the resources that we're entitled to.
9 questions.
And that means anybody, even if you're not a citizen. If your baby just got born yesterday, everybody who is alive and breathing that's in the state of California needs to be counted in the census. Please make sure you go to census, CENSUS2020.gov to complete your census today.
Don't touch your face. Wash your hands. Wash your butt. Don't touch your face.
Too late for all that stuff, man.
Never too late.
I'm just telling them, man.
Y'all over there patting each other down.
It's my nephew. I love him.
Yeah. What's up with the? Oh, never mind.
Don't do it. Oh yeah, no, yeah. I can't be like you all the time. Got to change it up. I know, something different.
You ain't lying.
What's up out there, America? How you doing? Because we have people
anyway,
from all over the
where
place.
you guys want to start? By the way, for those of you who don't know, this is my eldest son. This is Aaron. He's joining us tonight. He is on sabbatical, locked down, furloughed. I don't know, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So he comes over and joins his uncle and his dad tonight, keeping us company.
On the straight and narrow.
That's why he between us.
See, y'all wrecking stuff over there. Anyway, where are we going to start, fellas?
I don't know. The ass-kicking councilman or what?
The ass-kicking council. So I just heard about this today. I guess City Council Person District 3 and City Council Person Area 6. We said Butterfield too, right? So Miguel Arias and Mr. Butterfield,
on the news today, defending his
from what I understand,
property.
have been out in the community, and they've had a couple altercations. I guess there was some people from the community went by Councilman Arias' actual house today.
Yes, sir.
There was some type of altercation.
Yes, sir.
I don't know all the details. I'll find out as you guys find out about it. But the police were called out. I do know that there was altercation with Butterfield and the Waffle House King or whatever.
Throwing
did you see the police camera deal about that?
I think I saw it on the national news.
Not with
What
Bredfield.
I saw was not Bredfield.
Yeah, Bredfield wasn't involved in that altercation. He was there.
No, he came the next day
to
schmooze them because they once again are mad. That portion of society is mad because they're not opening up the businesses to support what they believe that their way of life or whatever. But hey, that once again goes into my philosophies of people wanting to do more than they actually can do. You can't, if you're going to follow the law and they're going to lay down the law, then you have to follow the law totally. Mm-hmm. Even though I don't like y'all Orange Messiah over there in the White House, if he says something has to happen, then something has to happen, right?
But it's a matter for me, it's a matter of selfishness. It's a matter of people not worrying
we're
about
we're not talking about selfishness. Mm-hmm. Let's handle the issue of the law first.
But that's what I mean. It's people know it has to do with rules. Laws are nothing more than rules. But anytime most of the time when a person doesn't follow rules and laws, it's about them. It's about the individual.
Okay. So you let me put your leash on and slow walk you through this. So you agree that people need to follow the laws that are laid down in front of them?
Most of the time.
You believe that people should break the laws?
Yes. There are times when the law needs to be broken.
And is this one of those times that the law needs to be broken?
No.
Okay, so let's stay on point and let's stay in the direction that we're talking about. We're talking about the here and the now, and we're talking about the laws that have been set forth over the past couple of months, where people are sheltering in place so that they don't spread the virus to the population that are the most susceptible to injury or not make it through, or however to death or whatever. Do you think that people should just be able to run right out there because they're saying we're going to lose our house, we're going to lose our this, we're going to lose our that, our livelihood, because everybody else is going to get sick, because people in the herd are going to get sick, and I need to keep my business open so that I can feed my children?
Well, no, because there's all kind of relief that are being provided to different people through the different programs that are being created by, for the conservatives say, our useless government. There are tons of things that are going on there.
These outliers who throw that socialism speech around are saying that the government is too slow, it's not helping them. Their children are hungry, and they have a skill that they need to do, but the government is saying that they can't do their skill. Beauticians, barbers, Waffle House owners, things of that nature. So you think that they should be able to overstep the law?
No.
Go out? Okay.
No, we're not to that. We're
okay.
No.
So
that's the question. No.
Okay. So now explain to me, please. Do you have something to say?
I was gonna say it's crazy that you say that, because there's people that's still moving on ways around the shelter in place. Like there's beauticians who are doing stuff out of their homes. I'm pretty sure people who cut hair that's cutting hair out of their home. Just because you don't have the business to go to, you can still do your job.
Well, so the question then becomes: Do those people that are circumventing the laws of society that have been put in place to manage and maintain the whole of society, should they be told on, and then the code enforcement go and cite them for doing those businesses at home?
No.
No?
Because you're in the privacy of your home. That's just like with me, people going to have family get-together and stuff. Who's going to come tell you can't have more than 2 people in your house?
But it's not actually going back. It's not a law, so it's a decree or whatever it is, a mandate or whatever. But it's not a law actually yet. But
okay,
there are provisions in there.
So the question then is the penance for your not following the whatever it is a fine. So do you think that they should be fined?
Yes.
And
people who are doing that in the public sphere should be fined. Yes.
Okay. And you
I could agree with that.
You
in a public,
you think you should be able to have a party at your house with 30 of your closest friends?
That person needs to be fined.
I'm not gonna say that many people. No, not that many people.
20.
If it's reasonable, if you can, to me, if you can have a reasonable get together, I'm not gonna put a number on it, but a reasonable get together that allows people to somewhat practice social distancing, I think you should be fine. You're not having no big house party where, you inviting 30, 40 people and it's crowded and people can't move. You can't monitor that because now I'm pretty sure somebody's going to get called and now you're going to have an issue.
Okay. Now, back to your point, Darren, because it plays into this. You said those types of people who do those things are selfish.
Correct.
Okay, so why are they selfish?
Because they're involving other people. If they want to have a huge, and I have less people who have deals at their homes don't necessarily need to be fined unless it's a repeat offender. But if a person's having a celebration at their home and the police come or whoever comes, the code enforcement, whatever, says, listen, you need to disperse this, and they disperse, I have no issue with that. But a person that goes out selfishly into the public sphere, not wearing their mask, the dude who opened his restaurant to come in and have seating, those type of things where it's involving other people, the choice that they make, person A makes, it negatively affects person B, I have an issue with that. Because if you have a party at your house and you invite me over and I don't go, I got a choice in that. But if I go to get food at the Waffle House because I'm following the rules, I want to do takeout, and all of a sudden now you coming in there sitting down, or the owner has allowed you to come in there and sit down, I just so and going back, you brought up the S word, socialism. What is this guy, this owner at this restaurant perpetuating? Socialism. He wants to have people in his restaurant in a social atmosphere. That's all socialism is about a matter of getting people together. We're not talking about the political structure of socialism as they used in the Eastern Bloc countries. We're talking about socialism as one looking out for the other. That's what I mean by socialism.
I don't think that that's what the Republican and the Conservative Party are talking about. Is socialism being that they're the ones perpetuating that. What they're saying about socialism is that it's the government taking of monies and giving it to, taking it from the rich, giving it to the poor.
They didn't say nothing about that about when they got the first round of stimulus. When they
why are you telling me this?
But
because I understand that a poor person so the same people that are saying, and you're correct, the same people that are saying that they need this, that, and the other to function, they haven't turned their social to their $12,000 or $1,200 over to their nearest.
They're getting more than that. They're getting tax breaks. They're getting millions of dollars of kickback.
Okay, you're jumping around.
That's not jumping around. You and I, because of the tax bracket that we're in, we get $1,200. Okay, if we were making $1 million a year, we don't get $1,200. We get tax breaks, which adds up to millions of dollars of tax cuts where you don't have to pay it out to the government. That's socialism.
Okay, but you do understand that goes on all of the time. And that's not the context of the conversation that we're having. We're having the context of the conversation that we're having is about people having parties in their homes. Not the big farmers that talk about how they're getting government grants, but that's to keep their farms open and this, that, and the other. Yes, that's socialism. That's what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Let's stay on point. Let's not, if we're going to jump from one to the other,
we can do that. The word socialism in one of your comments, that's where I went. I'm not trying to get away from the selfishness part.
We're talking about Chihuahuas, not Great Danes.
But you mentioned,
they're both dogs.
But you mentioned Great Danes in your statement, so that's where I went.
No, I mentioned dogs in the context of a Chihuahua, and you jumped to a Great Danes. Okay. So if you want to have a conversation about governmental socialism and the multi-million dollars that go into the socialism of farmers and lawyers taking these and this, that, and we can have that conversation in that context. The big finance companies that get, what was it, the Gap that came in here for $1 to promote, or we could talk about that type of socialism, but we're not talking about that type of socialism.
But I'm just, like I said, I'm responding to, you made a comment.
No, you're not responding. Well, if you're responding to my comment of socialism, correct, you're doing it incorrectly. Because you're moving the focus. Anyway, we get it. I get it. Okay. I hope y'all out there got it.
I like wheat bread for my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Okay.
So I just brought in wheat bread. That's all. We still talk about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I just don't like it on white bread. I just brought in the wheat bread. That's all.
We were talking about white bread peanut butter
I
and
got
jelly
you, but I don't
sandwiches.
like white bread, peanut butter and jelly.
Okay.
I like mine with wheat bread.
Okay.
And so I brought
All right.
the wheat bread.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
But the whole thing is about, for me, with the conservative mindset, it's about selfishness. And whether they're a billionaire or whether they are a restaurant owner who wants to open all of a sudden, it's about the selfishness. And right now I'm actually surprised. Me personally, I'm surprised at the way that we, as people, as a society, have handled this shutdown. I'm just surprised. I thought
This should be a good one. Why are you surprised?
I thought that things would be a lot more chaotic. You know, you had the run on the toilet paper and the cleaning supplies and those type of things that lasted, I don't know, 10 days or so.
It lasts longer than that.
Well, okay, 3 weeks or so. But it passed. And there is no anarchy and there was no, people are buying stuff for one another. People are taking folks' meals. There's all types of good that's coming out of this that I wasn't sure was going to be there. And so I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. By the way, African American people have maybe not been through this storm, but we've been through so many storms in America. We know how to survive. We're survivors, and so we'll be fine. That's my positive note for the time being. I got you. So anyway, by the way, ain't nobody on here. I guess ain't nobody commenting unless I'm in the wrong place. So those of you who have input, please send a comment if you'd like to. We'll respond to it as best we can on here, but I'm not sure I'm on the right spot. So anyway, all right. So one of the other things we talked about when you talked about laws, Joe, we wanted to talk about has to do with the shooting in Georgia with Ahmaud Arbery.
Yes.
Which angle do you want to take with this?
We can stay in the same angle that you're already in. I think that these are the negative things that the greater of society, once again, racism, white supremacy, and living in the system thereof, are manifestations of. You're going to tell me that these folks aren't frustrated around the world that are running up on city council persons' homes and shooting black people in the street? And he ain't the only one that got shot. So over the weekend, these are all manifestations of the selfishness of people wanting and thinking that they can do what they want. These are the terms of the anarchy that you are looking for. I also believe, though, that every African American person, since this is an African American show based in African American beliefs, should own a gun and should learn with the best of their ability to shoot and express themselves with said gun and have it legal, not illegal.
Okay. And I think there's lots of people out there who would agree with you.
There's lots of people out there who don't agree with me.
That's true. But you know, I'm not a gun owner. Never been a gun owner. I understand the necessities for guns, but I've never been trained to use a gun. So I know that both of you guys, you got your training through the military, you got your training through your work, and so I just have always been turned off to it. That's just, you know, it's not a positive or a negative. It's not a pro or con. It's just, that's not where I'm at.
Why?
It's just not where I'm at. I mean,
you have a fear of guns.
I don't have a fear of gun. I've never been officially trained to use a firearm. And what I think I would do, as most people do, when they're not properly trained, I'm more of a liability than I am an asset. And so since I've never sought to go get trained, I just have stayed away from it. So that's just my take, my 2 cents. Okay. I know there's lots of other folks out there who could care less, but I agree with Gerald's sentiment. If you are going to be a firearm, if you're going to carry a gun or carry a weapon of some sort, you need to make it be legal, whatever steps that is.
So what do you think about the Arbery murder that happened down there in Georgia?
It's indicative of Georgia. It's indicative of the negativity that's associated with the South. I agree with you that it is another manifestation of supremacy, white supremacy. Those 2 dudes had no more business stopping that young man than we do. They have no authority. They don't have even if they did think he was stealing something, they don't have the authority to do anything about it. You call and get somebody to respond. But because, unfortunately, the combination of being former law enforcement and having the what do you call it? What is your famous saying? Supremacy.
Living in the system of racism and white supremacy.
Racism and being a racist and a white supremacist in combination with his 30 years of service in law enforcement, it's a bad combination for that young man. I really truly believe there's more to the story, because I don't believe that the dude who took the video, after listening to him and his girlfriend speak, I think there's more to the story. And that dude is trying to play, I didn't know, but I think that he was basically YouTube, what's it called, world starring. He was white supremacist.
Yeah, he was their friend. He lived in the neighborhood, jumped in his truck to follow them. He also, in the police report, was said to have tried to help box him in as he was running. Before the video started.
I didn't heard that, but I heard him speak and how he did the double talk. He had his attorney on there with him
last night.
It was maybe it was last night, the night before.
He didn't say nothing.
And his girlfriend was the night before. His fiance was the night before. Yeah, so it was last night and the night before. And how they did the double talk and all that kind of stuff. And the lawyer kept jumping in, not letting them say certain things. And it was Sunday night was with the black guy on CNN. What's his name?
Don Lemon.
Don Lemon. And
last night was Comey on CNN with the dude who recorded it. I watched bits and pieces of it, but then the lawyer kept jumping in, so I was like, okay, and turned it.
Yeah. So they have a belief that because they did call 911 and say that the black guy was running through their neighborhood and that he was a burglary suspect, and that is what they believe gave them the authority to go after, stop, and accost this person, and eventually hunt him down, lynch him, shoot him, kill him.
Yeah, and so here in making a connection, you had told me to watch the Atlanta child murder series on HBO, and like I was telling you guys earlier, I got fixated on it last night. I didn't go to bed till after 2:00 watching 1 or 2, 3, and 4, and watching how that whole scenario. I don't know if Wayne Williams did anything to any of those kids, but I do know that the two dudes that were adults, the last two that he got convicted of killing, he did not kill them. I'm thoroughly convinced that he did not kill them two. But they not only did they convict him of that, they convicted him of 10 or 12 of the other kids that were on there. Come to find out that the Georgia Department of Investigations had their own internal investigation going on. They were investigating the Klan in connection with some of the murders. They never never shared that information in court. And so it's that whole system down there and that was not all perpetrated by racist white supremacists. There was some covering of the eyes of my beloved fraternity brothers, the mayor of the city at the time, the chief of police, who was actually from here at the time. They didn't do everything. I don't believe they did everything they could have, because it sounds like they were worried about starting a race riot down there and destroying the image and the reputation of Atlanta. And so it's just interesting. So I encourage everybody to go and watch. It's a 5-part series. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's Atlanta something child murders, whatever. I encourage all of you guys to go watch that, and then you can have your own take on it. But that's 40 years now. Some of those young men that got killed were our age. I don't know if you realize that or not, because it made it seem to me like they were kids, but they were our age. Born in 66, 67, 68. It was I gotta go back and watch it again because it was pretty riveting. So, but I just going back to your original question about the circumstances around Arbery's killing. There's a great amount of connections that I made from that circumstance that happened in February to what happened with Williams and his interaction with law enforcement 40 years ago. So,
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, I'm not going to say that these folks were in the Ku Klux Klan. The father-son team, Gregory and Travis McMichael. But how did it make you feel, both of you, as African American males, to watch another African American male, adult, being hunted and chased down and slaughtered, killed, murdered in the middle of the street in broad daylight?
Fearful
of
life in general. I got 2 kids. If I tell my kids to go out and, Dad, I'm going for a job, now I know I got a fear that they may not come back home.
Right.
So, I mean.
Now remember, not only do you have two kids, you have 2 cousins.
Right.
And one jogs every morning.
Right.
Michael runs every morning.
Yeah, I think it's just the society and the way what we live in now. This happened back in February. Mm-hmm. Who heard about it other than up until the last, I don't know what.
When the video came out.
Yeah.
Well, the police had the video the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how did it make you feel?
Disgusted. It's disgusting to me. Knowing that the value of a person's life can be diminished in that fashion. So it was disgusting. It was sickening to me, especially, watching them kind of, he gets shot, and I guess it was in the rib cage, whatever, and then he takes off to go running again. What was going through his mind, the last moments of his life. It's disgusting to me.
He was shot 3 times.
Right.
1 through the arm and 2 shotgun blasts to the chest.
Yeah. So I guess that's the best word I could give you, is that it was disgusting to watch that. And knowing that it's not the first time. I remember the first time I saw the little boy that was in Cleveland, the one who had the toy gun, and the officer...
Tamir Rice.
Yeah, and the officer shows up, door opens, and he comes out the door shooting, firing.
Less than 2 seconds.
Yeah. The guy, I don't remember what the gentleman's name was on the park, fleeing from the officer.
Running away from him. That was wasn't it in Sacramento?
No, not that one. This one, I don't remember where it was, but it wasn't the one that was in Sacramento. But just gunning down in the back.
And then go and throw the taser on him and say he took the taser.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah.
I'm just the visuals. I'm trying to put together all these visuals. My big man selling the Lucy's. That we got the dude around his head and the choke.
Is that Alton Sterling?
No, not Alton Sterling. Is that the big dude in New York?
That's Garner.
Garner. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Sterling was one in Louisiana that was selling the mixtapes in front of the store, and police showed up and asked the store owner, and he said it was okay, and then he went back out. The police officer started a confrontation, or the guy told him he had a gun in his pocket and shot him. The police shot him.
Oh, that reminds me. The young man that was in Minnesota tells the officer he's with his girlfriend and the little girl's in the back seat.
No, he's in the passenger seat. No, he was driving.
And he tells the guy he's got a firearm with him, discloses it, I got my, whatever the certificate is, whatever, and then he winds up getting.
Right. So how do we as a society, and this is a very hard question, how do we as an African American society in a greater society overcome such atrocities and evil?
Well, one of the things I believe that has to happen is there's got to be accountability. And it is
accountability on
the
whose part?
system. The system and the people who perpetuate the system.
The system of racism, white supremacy, or the judicial system? When you say system, what system are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about the judicial system.
Okay.
Which ain't gonna change.
Well, it can change. It can change. I'm gonna show you. We got a video clip. I'm gonna show you.
So here's my thing: if it can change, why hasn't it changed over 40 years?
40.
I'm just saying. It can go back further than that. But I'm just saying. If you talk about the Atlanta thing that happened 40 years ago, here we are in 2020, and so what haven't we done to make this change? When you say change,
There's no accountability for the people who are perpetuating the system. So when you get a judge, like we brought up the
So now I'm gonna let you go, but this is where our conversation last week ended. So we're back
right.
in the.
So
okay.
and the example that I brought up last week is about the white dude swimmer in Stanford who was caught in the act of raping that young lady who was inebriated in an alleyway or whatever the situation was. Goes to court, and the judge tells him he gives him a minimal sentence because he believes that young man, his life would be negatively impacted by having whatever the recommended sentence was. That young man needs to be held accountable, yes, but that judge also needs to be held accountable for not doing what.
So who holds that judge accountable?
The people who voted his ass in, the people who voted the person who appointed him in.
So what you're saying then is like in the Michael Flynn, or is it Michael Flynn?
The one in
just happened.
No,
Yeah, the one that's happening in the
right
process
now?
of happening now. Yes.
Yeah.
So what you're saying though, Flynn has went in court and said, yeah, I lied twice to these folks, and so the system that you're talking about correcting itself goes all the way to the Donald Trump.
Correct.
And it comes back to his William Barr,
Correct.
his Attorney General, right, who runs the Department of Justice for
Correct.
the United States, are saying that these actions are okay.
Correct.
Right.
Barr, we can't touch Barr because Barr is appointed. Barr can only
But okay, so explain to me how the system is supposed to correct
because
this.
we voted. The system voted Donald Trump in.
Okay.
The system elected Donald Trump, who ultimately appointed William Barr. William Barr needs to be impeached for what he's doing right now. He's way outside. Didn't
you just say we couldn't touch William Barr?
We can't. We, the citizens who vote, cannot touch William Barr.
So you meant to say that we need to impeach Donald Trump, which has happened.
He needs to be held accountable for it.
He's been impeached already.
Yeah, but he wasn't convicted. He wasn't removed. He wasn't convicted by the.
No, but he was impeached.
Correct.
So, but he wasn't the Senate now, okay? Because you sent me a video telling me about civics, and said it was the greatest thing that you've seen.
Hopefully, I'll have enough time where I can show that.
And so, so this is my point, is that it's not an individual incident, or it's not several individual incidents that are happening. This is the system. Now, we would say that the system is broken, sitting on this side of the lunch counter. But the folks on the other side of the lunch counter are saying the system is working just fine. Because this is the system that they've put in place so that they can maintain superiority over us.
And wealth.
True.
Superiority and wealth. Correct.
Okay. So how do we change that? And last week you were adamant about voting and changing, and
that's the only way you can change it.
No. That's not the only way you can change it.
Okay. How can you change it?
By force. The same way they took. The same way they. No. Before you start shaking your head and going into convulsions, that's your other option. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but that's your other option. So until the masses get to where they feel sorry enough for African Americans for running down the street and getting killed, and selling Lucy cigarettes and getting killed, and doing all of these other things and getting killed, driving down the street and getting killed, until African Americans stand up for themselves, this is what's going to happen. We're going to continue to send our babies and feelings and everything into a system that you've just described as a just, well, not as a just system, a system that we need to change the justice system to litigate our options and freedoms.
We're not sending him into the system. There's no other option. The only other option is death. You're born into this system.
Give me 6, 8, 18 more months. The rest of his life, he'll get what I'm saying.
You're born into the system.
Right, I agree that you're born into the system. I 110%.
So what are our other options? And you're saying, so let me give you this example. Who won the Civil War? Was it the progressives or the conservatives? The progressives won the Civil War. So why are the conservatives who were defeated in the last Civil War that we had? The conservative side was defeated, but now the conservative side is back in power. So what I'm saying is that
because it's an economic structure that you're talking about. You know, that goes back to what was the Civil War fought for? Was it an economic? Was it fought for economics, or was it fought for slavery?
It was fought because that's one and the same. Slavery and economics is
no, it's not one and the same.
Yeah, it is.
Slavery no, it isn't.
You wouldn't have slavery if it wasn't based off economics. You wouldn't have chattel slavery in the form and system.
We don't. Okay, so
if it was not for the wealth that came along with having slaves, the United States would not have had slaves for as long as it did. There's no doubt about that. So slavery and economics is connected, one and the same.
They're not one and the same. They are connected, but they're not one and the same. Because if that were the case, then you would have white folks that are slaves still to this day. And a form of slavery is the prison industrial complex, which is made up of mostly black and brown people.
Mostly, but there are white folks who are involved in the penal system as well. So slavery in the United States.
So your question was, what was the Civil War? You said who won the Civil War? The North,
which was the progressive, quote unquote, the progressives of the day. But the conservative mindset is the South will rise again, and I think we've got all kind of indications, all kind of evidence that is true. The South has risen again.
Maybe the South never left.
Correct.
Because we're playing by the rules in which they've given to us and hung in front of us.
Because it was changed by force. It was not changed by changing the rule book, by changing the laws of the land. That's my point.
The law of the land was changed. It was. You couldn't have slavery anymore.
You always tell me that we still have slavery.
We do
today. You're the one who told
me. So can you have slavery on the books since the law of the land is what you're arguing about?
No.
In the penal system, you're the one who actually told me that. You're the one who.
Yeah. Okay. Outside of the penal system, can you have a slave? Can you have someone living in your basement as a slave?
No. In the United States of America society, can you have slaves?
So
still today. So yes.
Okay.
The prison population is
okay. All right.
Unless I'm missing something, the prison population is still part of the United States population. So when a person says that slavery is gone, they don't really understand what they're saying.
When they said that black people can be racist, they really don't understand what they're.
That's not true. Racism.
Find a definition and read the definition of racism.
Okay, we'll do.
How do you feel about this?
Y'all over my head.
How do you feel about this?
Y'all going over my head.
Do you feel that because the North won the Civil War and outlawed slavery, that slavery is still on the books?
On the books, no. I think that it still exists, though.
Well, racism, white supremacy still exists.
Yeah,
but it's slowly being eroded.
I don't know about that one, though. I don't know how it's being eroded.
The laws on the books against slavery? Because they've taken repealed the Voters' Rights Act They've appealed parts of everything that African Americans in the 60s won. They've repealed it. And I believe that that's what he's talking, or not everything, but most everything. They're slowly eroding it. It's because they want to go back to where African Americans are no longer accepted, needed, or wanted in this country.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that statement. I agree with you on that.
So you want me to read this definition?
Read it.
Okay. Prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed at someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior.
Okay, so in your definition last week, you told me that Bob Johnson and Oprah could be racist.
Correct.
And because they think that black people are superior to white people, or because they're bigotous and they want to take the job of the person that's in their company?
If you take out the word race...
No, we can't take out the word race. You can't have chicken without chicken. You can't have chicken soup without chicken.
You asked me for a definition, I'm going to give you a definition, okay? If you put in the mindset, okay, which race is a construct that is made up here. Should be, basically, we don't have races. We have ethnicities, different ethnicities, not different races. So you have to look at the origins of what the meaning of race is. But this has to do, for me, it has to do with a mindset. Could be different socioeconomic groups. Could be different neighborhoods. Could be different genders, that men think they're better than women.
That's not race.
I got you, because this is based off of the construct of race.
So now you just threw beef into your chicken broth, and now you have beef stew again. We're talking about race. We're not talking about sexist gender, and we're not talking about, racism is a construct that was built in America. That's why white folks from England can come as a German into America. And what are they? Are they German Americans? No, they're white. An Italian can come into the United States. Is he an Italian American? No, he's white. African or a black Italian comes into the United States. What is he? Is he an Italian?
Yes.
Not until he opens his mouth. He's black.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. That's the error in this whole race.
Error?
Yeah.
Error?
First word, and it says prejudice. So
I have to go back and find the information I have about the constructs of racism. By the way,
racism means this is all racism is. It's a race between groups of people. It is basically a sports term. Racism. So you have to pick a team. That's what the race is. Are we going to be on the white team? Are we going to be on the black team?
Or the other team.
Or the other team.
I've never heard that, but okay.
Of course you haven't heard everything. I haven't heard everything either. So if you come to America, you going to be with the losers? No. The darker folks are losers. I ain't going to be with them. I want to go over here. I'm light-skinned. That's why it's only, the equation to make a white person is 4 generations of blacks. And then they're so light-skinned that they can pass as white. Then they hit a home run and marry another white person. You got a white person. And you think they're going to run over here and be with you and be black with you? Hell no. Give me that stuff.
I'm trying to think of what, there's a book that has to do with the law, and I did not bring it with me. The title, I meant to bring it, to give it to you, because it has to do with, actually maybe I can find it on Amazon.
Who wrote it?
I can tell you that, I think in 1 second. It has to do with race and the law.
How did race and the law?
The color of law? Yeah, The Color of Law, A Forgotten History of Our Government's Segregated America by Richard Rothstein. So it's a suggestion. Color of Law.
What is it going to teach me?
We talked about last week. We talked about how the law, the rules of the land, is not applicable fairly to all.
how if you are at the top and you don't like the way something has gone down, you can change it? Kind of like in the Flynn thing?
They didn't change nothing. He just
Barr is getting ready to wipe all that off of his record.
He's not changing the law though. He's just not doing it. So basically, Flynn.
So now all you
perjury.
guys understand why I think so intellectually, because all through my life I've had to overcome.
What is the law that Barr is changing?
This dude is convicted.
Correct.
Right? He's a felon.
Correct.
Right? So he's going to go in now and he's going to wipe all of his friends' deals away. He's
changing. He's changing the adjudication.
Away.
He's not changing the law.
Oh, come on.
So if you go in there and lie to the FBI now, are you going to be able to get your record expunged?
No.
It's still a crime. So the law is not being changed. It's about the adjudication. It's about the way that they apply the outcomes.
Read. You want to read something? Read "White Rage" by Carol Anderson. That'll tell you how white folks have stayed and used what I was asking you guys earlier, lynchings and things of that as a terrorist methodology to keep African Americans in their place. One of the things in the book is to talk about how this dentist and his wife did something, minding their own business, but the Klan followed them home. And I think they bought in the wrong neighborhood first per se, and because the Klan surrounded their house and started shooting into their house, they actually ended up shooting each other, the Klan, and the laws were manipulated to say that if the dentist, I believe it was a dentist, if the African American household owner wouldn't have provoked the incident, the good white folks wouldn't have shot themselves or died. So he got charged with those murders, pulled out of his house. He was thought to have had those murders pulled out of his house and lynched.
By the angry mob? So he was not arrested. It was not a matter of the laws, correct? It was a matter of the beliefs of the people that were there in the area. I'm trying to think of what. There's another guy also, since you bring that up. He's a lecturer. I can't think what his name is.
So what I'm saying to you, public, is that if we as African Americans continue to allow the judicial system to adjudicate our issues, we're going to have the same outcomes. And what is going to happen, or what your boy say, doing the same thing and expecting a different result is
it's insanity.
Oh, okay. So that's what you asked me why I say that African Americans in America are schizophrenic. It's because we have to put up with our babies, our loved ones, our males, females, and children being lynched for over 400 years in this country. And we still have, as we do in this Albury case, two district attorneys recusing themselves, where the second one recused himself and wrote a letter explaining to whomever, however, basically tainting the jury pool that the McMichaels should not be arrested and did not break any crimes because they had a right to do what they did according to Georgia law. Now, if he accused himself prior, why is he even writing anything? Because he has the influence to do what he needs to do to get his homeboys off, his buddies. But he had already accused himself, saying that I worked in the law office with this person and I know this person. But we as good Negroes are going to sit back and say, oh, woe is me. It's going to be okay. We have to get out there and vote so that we can make a difference.
Correct.
Have you ever seen the movie Drop Squad?
Never heard of it.
Okay, look it up.
Okay, here's another name. I'm going to drop another name on you when you want to talk about white people, talk about racism. Tim Wise. Have you heard Tim Wise?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So he's another one also who is a college lecturer.
Yes.
Goes around and he gets a lot of heat from his white brother and sister and about what he talks about. So
you'll never hear me say that all white folks are bad or that all white folks are pulling in the same direction. But what I will say is the people that are complicit, that shoot videos, are part of the lynch mob and shoot videos and then figure out that they're going to get charged with the crime, just like the other two that perpetrated the crime because he was actually a part of it, and then he go to woofing and talking about it wasn't his fault and this, that, and the other, and he was just a drive-by that caught it. Somebody that was driving by and caught the video. No.
What's up, Brenda K, Star? Hey, KP, can I show my video real quick?
Which one?
The one about the voting.
Okay.
So here's one of the reasons why I believe that voting is so important, and where the system and structure and education, the negative role that it's had in how we got to where we are right now.
This my vote don't count?
Yep, my vote don't count.
Here we go.
This is I just came across this. I guess it's old, but I just came across this a couple of days ago. I think it is outstanding.
Enough electoral votes, more than 270, more than enough to become the 44th President of the United States. He will be the first African-American President of the United States.
I've been broke all my life, but I kept hope all them nights. You see business in my city? Yeah, they closed all them twice. I was just riding down Salem, all them damn potholes, I can't drive. I know y'all can fix it faster, but I know y'all won't try. Don't nobody care about us, and that's why I don't vote. Voted for Obama back in 2012, I remember that's when I had hope. He was saying, yes, we can, and everybody got less food stamps. And when I turned 21, I was still broke, I'd never vote again. I don't think I ever had a president make my life better. Did it all on my own, ain't no politician ever do a nice gesture. I don't even know the mayor's name, I ain't never seen her one time ever. Tell me how she gonna help the city. What I'm supposed to do, write letters? What I'm supposed to do, blame Trump? He ain't never really gave a ain't nobody raised minimum wage. None of these jobs pay enough. I think they just wanna keep us broke, cause they ain't putting none in place for us. This how all my people feel, but we gotta learn. We complained enough, let me change it up. Everything I just said, everybody I know think the same way. See, they don't wanna see us vote, and we never do, so we see the same thing. But all our votes really do count, and they'll never really let it show. So now I'm finna break it down, cause if I don't, you would probably never know. First thing first, you know back in middle school when they taught us, it was 3 branches of the government. We forgot it when we got older. It's the judicial, the legislative, and executive. But all we know is the executive. That's the mayor, or the governor, and the president. Now none of them 3 people make no laws, they just be checking them. The laws come to their desk and all they do is say no or yes to it. So when the news station tried to tell us that Barack Obama couldn't put us on, we was all salty at Obama when it was the Congress members all along. We gotta focus on the legislative branch, yeah, they the ones that make the laws. Yeah, they the ones write how much food stamp money you get on the card. But when people that wanted to help us wanted the job, I know they probably lost. Cause we ain't even know their name, we ain't know their face, we ain't know it all. So the Congress or the State House, that's legislative, they make laws. So what we want from the president is what they do, okay y'all? See, they election every 2 years, but we don't ever even go to those. The Congress, they can raise minimum wage, but we ain't even really know it though. So you know how back in 08, when we all voted for Obama, we was all supposed to go back in 2010 and vote for the Congress. Cause they the ones make child support laws, they the ones choose if your kids at school get to eat steak or corn dogs. The State House make the court costs. So if the country failed, then you can't say it's them, it's your fault. Cause y'all ain't know to vote for Congress members that was for y'all. And they don't gotta leave after 4 years, and we just let them sit. See, they don't wanna tell you this, they want you to focus on the president. Now the 3rd branch is the judicial, that's judges. They the reason why John Crawford and Trayvon ain't had justice. So when Meek Mill got locked up just for popping willies, we blame the judge and not the city when they let her get voted in, cause they ain't know who to vote against. Imagine life on the other side. Roads better, schools better, everybody get their license back. Grocery store food better, custody of your kids back. Homeless people get new shelters. If we gon' fix the U.S., we gotta start with them 2 letters, me and you. Somebody told us that the government wanna keep us broke, but the only reason why those people in the government is cause we ain't vote. And I ain't talking about the president, I'm talking about the ones we ain't know. See, they was gonna try to keep it low, but it's gonna hurt them when they see the polls.
Every time you stay home, someone is making a decision about you, making decisions about the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food your kids eat, and how much money you bring home every 2 weeks. So every time you sit out an election, every time you don't show up, because you think it doesn't matter. Someone else is happy that you didn't show up, so they can make that decision for you. Vote.
I'm telling you, that is the realest video that I have seen by a young person as to why it's so important for people to engage in voting and how things can actually change. And he is absolutely correct. In the 8th grade, when we were middle school students, you had to pass that Constitution. You had to know the 3 branches of government. You had to know the preamble. You had to know the Constitution. You had to know all those things. The kids nowadays in 8th grade, if they get to that, the teacher's done well. No more Constitution tests. So he's absolutely correct. And it's unfortunate that the system that I invested the last 30 plus years in is guilty of perpetuating the absence of this knowledge that this young man just shared. So I just had to share that. Somebody shared that with me on Sunday, and I had to get that. I've been trying to send it to everybody I can, because I think that is, so that takes me back to the days of Public Enemy and other people who had conscious rap going on. This dude right here, his name is Yellow Pain, YELLOPAIN, yeah, Yellow Pain. So I want to applaud the young man for what he did, and hopefully it goes viral. So that's the response to your question about the change. That's the change that I believe in right there.
It's working.
Well, it can, like you said. So one of the points you made earlier is doing the same thing is a sign of insanity.
With no change.
With no change. So why, as African American people, are we not voting? We haven't been voting for a while.
You came over here and gave stats that said a couple weeks ago that African Americans are the greatest voters on record.
The perception is that African American people don't vote. Okay.
So are we living in perception, or are we living in reality? Do African Americans vote?
Yes, they do, and they did well. They were the highest percentage in 2016. I don't know if I shared 2018, but it's 2016.
So your question is, why are we living in the perception that African Americans don't vote?
Because that's the perpetuation that people put out there. You even heard
when you say that people put out there, okay, what people?
This young man that I just applauded him for the work that he's doing right now. Talk about voting and the knowledge basically put in there. His whole premise is that since Obama in 2008, African American voting has gone down. That's his whole premise of this, and that because the African American presence in voting has gone down, that we've gotten the negative outcomes.
No, what I heard him say is that black people only show up and vote for presidential elections.
They missed the middle years.
The mid years.
That is part of the perception in there also. But
but the question was, who's perpetuating the myth that African Americans don't vote?
Society. Just society as a whole. That was the point I believe I was trying to make when I brought that information in here that showed the percentages were not as. And I got kicked off.
So society as a whole I don't believe is doing that. I once again believe that the people that it benefits, the greater racist and white supremacy society, is going to tell you that you don't vote and that your vote doesn't matter to try and keep you home. The same way as they kick people off the voter rolls in certain states and they don't want to vote by mail in other states, and they do all these different things to keep people from voting. And then one of the psychological tools that they use is to tell African Americans that your vote doesn't count anyway, so don't even go out and vote. That's who's perpetuating the myth, not the society or the other folks or those. Let's be specific. It's not a horse, it's a donkey. It's not a wheat bread peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's a white bread peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It ain't a Great Dane that we're talking about. It's a Chihuahua that we're talking about.
So do your own research.
Stay on point.
So do your own research. The next
my own research.
The next 10 African Americans.
I vote. I don't have to go do my research.
The next 10 African American people that you run into, whatever kind of context it is, ask them if African American people vote at a high rate or a low rate and see what the responses you get.
I don't care about them telling me if they don't.
That's perception.
I don't care about them telling me about something that they don't know. The question should be, do you vote?
That's the perception. I'm talking about
the perception is that all black men have a big penis.
Right.
Is that real?
The black men are violent. There's all kind of stereotypes and things.
So why do we? Okay. Once again, another book you want to read is As a Man Thinketh. So if your perception, because you're allowing these other people to put into your mindset the negative thought, and this is what I go have it out with your mom about. Well, that's reality. Well, let's try to change reality into a positive reality so that the positive reality that you have is a perception that people will see as a positive.
Then go vote. Put your guns down. Leave the violence alone and go vote.
Hey, how about this? Go and vote like you do vote, and then when they pick up a gun, you pick up a gun. Somebody ain't going to win. But at least you got a 50-50 shot. How about that? You voted, and when you coming out the voters thing, because you can't vote, because you can't tell them how many bubbles are in a bar of soap, and they pull their pistol, you pull your pistol, let's try that one on. Now, I'm not advocating violence.
But defend yourself.
I'm not advocating violence. But if the perception is that if I pull a gun and you pull a gun, somebody gonna get shot.
They kick you off.
Right? Is that the perception that we're talking about?
No, I was talking about the perception of voting.
We're talking about Great Danes and wheat bread. Because you've already made your point that black people vote. So why would we sit up here and discuss that black people don't vote?
Because there's a perception out there. And the young man just perpetuated that. There's a perception out there, unfortunately, that we don't participate. So anyway, I'm internet dead now. But anyway, it's 9 o'clock, by the way, too. 5 minutes after 9. So
so you have a disguise.
One other thing that I wanted to talk about, although I'm gonna hold off on it, is 2 things actually.
Oh, here we go.
Bits of information. One is, and you brought this up, Governor
Who's you?
Newsom.
There's 2 people here. Who's you?
Governor Newsom has declared California as a vote by mail state for the November election. So every county, all 58 counties in the state of California, will be participating in vote by mail for the 2020 cycle only. Then you're gonna.
So African American folks, you better go get your gun, because the people who are running your society ain't gonna like that.
The second thing is that the information came out today that the CSU system, California State University system, is going to remain in online instruction through December of 2020.
And so is the system. The other system, the CSU system and the UC system.
I was trying to look for UC. I couldn't find it earlier. But I know the CSU system, I got a note from Fresno State that they're going to be shut down. So anyway, I'll keep that type of information out there so that you guys got that.
The perception is
school is closed. But anyway,
no, the reality is the school is closed. The perception is that one day it'll open again.
Looks like the universities in California it won't be until January. So parting shots, what's up?
Parting shots.
I have a question for you before your parting shot. Just real quick.
Ahead.
So what happens to the NC2A football for next year?
Don't know. So it's up in the air right now.
Okay, that's all.
Because
it's going to be played online.
Empty stadium. They can do it in empty stadiums, but
they gonna vote on it. Oh, sorry.
They are.
Okay. You so bad, Aaron.
I didn't. Hey.
Go.
Y'all funny.
Hilarious. It's all love. It's all love.
What's your parting shots?
My parting shots, I don't know. Thank you to the workers that's out there on the front line. Continue to do what you do. We thank you. We bless you. Yeah, go vote. Go vote. It's coming up.
Let me go next. So that reminds me. Also, we shared information last week. There's free COVID-19 testing here in the area in Fresno County. Go to ihl.care/COVID testing. So that's ihl.care/COVID testing. The testing site here in Fresno is at Fresno City College. Took me all of about 2 minutes to get it done. It's a nasal swab, so you take a Q-tip, swab your nose, doesn't hurt, tickles, but they swab your nose, and you get your results back in about 5 to 7 days.
So it's not like that lady on TV that said, "Oh, they stuck this thing and pulled my brain out."
Like the
No.
flu.
It's a long Q-tip. Now, they don't stick the whole thing in there, but it didn't hurt. It just tickled.
She said they grabbed me by the back
flu,
of the head
the
like
flu
we
ain't
were
no
lovers.
joke. The flu make you cry. The flu swab, they stick it up to your brain.
No, they didn't go that far. They just kind of was tickling. But anyway, got my results back. I'm negative, so hopefully y'all ain't carrying.
I'll tell you, I've already had it.
So could be. Yeah, mine was
Agent Zero.
Mine
Oh,
was Agent Zero.
y'all want to laugh? We went to Oregon this past weekend, and I met Patient Zero for North Dakota. She played on the girls' soccer team up there. Not in North Dakota, but in Oregon.
Really?
Huh?
Well, I'll explain it to you after this.
Okay.
So, but my parting shot is bang, bang, baby.
Anyway, so thank you again for being with the Miller Boyzzz Tuesday night. God willing, we'll see you back here next Tuesday at 8 p.m.
Because the creek is rising.
It is.
The creek
It
is
That's
rising.
global warming, but we'll get on
And
that
you better,
time.
if you
Learn how to
better,
swim.
bang, bang.
Anyway, peace. See you guys next week.
Love, peace, and hair grease. Thank you, KP.